What's going on, guys? My name is Bart Komar, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make one of these wood racks for all of your firewood. This is a super easy project. You can make one of these in probably under an hour, and it supports a ton of firewood, as you can see. This is so easy to make. All you need is a drill and a circular saw. Let's get started. Welcome to the Komar Project. All right, so we're gonna be building this out of just regular old planking boards. Last year, Grandma had a deck built and it completely warped on her. The installation was improper, so I did rebuild the deck for her, but we have all of these planks that were left over from when we actually had to tear up that deck. So because we have it on hand, we're gonna be building it out of this. And you can build it out of just about any kind of lumber, as long as it's treated or painted. You wanna make sure that it's protected from the elements. So let's get some wood and get to building. Because these boards were previously on a deck and they were screwed down, some of those screws are actually showing up and they were not removed. So I want to make sure that I remove the ones from the edge, that way nobody gets caught on them as they walk by. Now I'm going to be including a free set of plans with this build that you can download over on my website, which is linked down in the description below. And all those dimensions are going to be for a 2x4 construction rack. I figured that's the most common scrap lumber that you can find around, but for reference, this rack is going to be 60 by 80. I started by cutting 4 pieces to 80 inches long that are going to make up my base. And because these boards are only about 1 1/8 inches thick, I'm going to be doubling them up so that I have something substantial to screw into. I'm going to be securing everything using 2.5-inch decking screws, which is what Grandma had on hand for me to use. And you're probably thinking to yourself that 1 1/8 inches plus 1 1/8 inches is 2 1/4, and these screws are going to stick out. And yes, you're absolutely right. But in our case, this rack is going to be sitting on gravel, so it doesn't make much of a difference. If you're going to be placing it on concrete or asphalt, anything hard like that, you definitely want to make sure you use the right length screws for your build. Or you can just angle your screw to compensate for the thickness of the lumber that you are using. So you can see that this one's got a pretty severe bow. I can grab more, but it doesn't really matter because once we screw it together, it will pull and it will hold. Especially once we put wood on top of it, all that weight, we're gonna be all right. Now, once we have these two screwed together, we can put this on the floor, and it's just a little bit easier than working on some sawhorses. Next, I cut 3 equal support pieces that will get placed on the ends and one also in the middle, making sure that they are aligned to the edge of the base. Then we can take the outside piece, set it on its side, and screw it to the base rails with 3 screws on each side. Whenever I'm building things like this, I like to use screws in sets of 3. It's going to give me the best amount of rigidity in that case. If you were just to use 2 screws, at some point one of them may come out and then you're stuck with one, and it might end up twisting on you down the road. So 3 screws is always a safe bet. All right, so we got our base done and it is solid. And don't forget that you don't have to make this out of decking boards. You can totally do this out of 2x4s and you wouldn't have to double these up. So super simple. Let's move on to the uprights. Now, you can make this thing as tall as you want, but remember that you're going to be stacking wood up there, and 60 inches is ideal for this guy's height. I secured the first upright with only 1 screw first, then I can take my level, make sure that I'm plumb, and secured it with more screws from the side. And it's always much easier just to preset your screws on the ground ahead of time instead of trying to hold everything up while you're trying to, plumb it, level it out, and secure it. So it's always a good idea to put your screws in first, and then you can go to town and drive all of them in. All right, guys, so for the last month, I have been rocking the new Morphix collection from Timberland Pro's Flex line. And I can honestly say that it's making my life on the job site and around the house way more comfortable. And after wearing them for a few days, I liked them so much, I ran out to the store and got 4 more pairs. The Comfort Stretch Nylon is so comfortable, it doesn't restrict my motion. But the best part about them is, I can run off the job site, head to my kids' game without having to change, and cheer for them like crazy without having to miss a beat, because they look good. Timberland Pro also sent me out a pair of their 6-inch boots to try out. Now, I'm not a huge fan of steel-toe boots, but a composite like these feels completely different. It's not as bulky and heavy as steel, and I feel light on my feet and get through the day without fatigue. The rubber sole balances strong ground contact and deep lugs for superior traction inside and out. And the 6-inch ankle support helps me from injuring myself. So if you guys want to learn more about the Morphix brand, make sure you check out the links in the description below. I'm going to have a link to the boots and also to the pants that I'm wearing right now. I absolutely love them. It's hard for me to find a good pair of pants that I can wear on the job site and also off. So these you're going to see in a lot more videos. Thank you so much to Timberland Pro for supporting what I do. Now let's get back to the build. All right, so with our uprights up, this is fairly strong enough where it shouldn't splay out, but we're still gonna make a couple of supports on the inside to make sure that no matter how much wood you can load into this thing, it's not gonna go anywhere. So I want to make a couple of triangle support pieces, and Grandma had a ton of scrap lumber laying around, some triangle pieces, but nothing that fit the build perfectly until I found a 2x8 that is going to work perfect for this. I first marked off 1.5 inches from the edge on that 2x8 and used my speed square to cut off a 45-degree angle. It's always a good idea to use a speed square when cutting with a circular saw like that. You really don't have to, constantly be checking where your line is. As long as you are started right on that line and your speed square stays in the same exact spot and you follow that speed square with your saw, you're always going to get a straight line. After repeating that process 4 more times, we have a couple of inside brackets that we can secure to our rack. And I just drove a couple of screws from the outside, one that I drove in fairly slowly so that I don't split it down the middle, and then also from the back. I want to make sure that that triangle is secured from all 3 sides. Now we also have to do some outside bracing. So I grabbed the piece and I cut it to 34 inches from corner to corner. Then I can trace it to the next board and repeat the process until I have 4 equal supports. But before I can put them in, I need to fur out the base a little bit to make it even with our upright. And you can use pretty much any size that you want here. You could have it even a little bit higher because obviously we all know that firewood's not going to be even. But I think this piece was 2.5 inches by about 10 inches. And I just secured it to the outside of it, which made our base a little bit wider and even with our upright. Now we can put our outside support pieces on and test how strong this thing really is. Oh yeah. This is not going anywhere. And at this point, you can load this thing up with wood and be done. But there is one thing that Grandma requested to be put in on this one. Let me show you guys. So this is the rack that I built yesterday for Grandma. And she said because of the way that the logs are cut, some of them are falling out between the center. It's just because the logs are a little bit smaller than I anticipated. So what we're gonna do to fix this thing is just put a small piece right down the center of it on the new one that I just built out of the same scrap lumber that we're gonna find. Let's go. Okay, this thing is not going anywhere, guys. Super easy DIY project. It took me about 2 hours to build this thing, but I was filming. You could definitely do this within an hour. All you need is a drill, a driver, a level, and a square, and that's it. And then you can put this thing together pretty much out of any kind of lumber that you have laying around. 2x4s would probably be the best thing for this, but decking boards, like you saw here, work just as well. This is gonna last for years for Grandma. It's ready for her to start loading up wood, and it will help her out with wood storage for the winter. So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss upcoming videos. We are renovating our entire house and doing a full build series from start to finish, so I don't want you guys to miss out on those videos. Thank you so much for joining me on this experience. I'll see you guys next time.
That middle piece is the bomb. Look at it, holds everything in so nothing falls out anymore. Doesn't get any better than that. Watch.
High five, Grandma.
Nice job, Bart.
Thank you.